There are a number of new EDFs that E-Flite's come out with recently, and of course the one that interests me the most happens to be the one that they've included with the latest update to RealFlight, and that is the A-10 Thunderbolt. By far, this is when it comes to modern warbirds or modern jets, the A-10 is on my list of one of my favorites. Of course, my all-time favorite is the Tomcat, but there isn't a Tomcat in here, and there really isn't a lot of Tomcats available on the market anyway. So, knowing that, one of my next favorites, if you go down the list of favorite jet aircraft, would have to be the A-10. I would say this thing is very much in second place behind my beloved Tomcat. And so I'm excited to get an opportunity to fly this one in RealFlight. Now, I have the UMX A-10. I don't fly it nearly often enough, but this thing is quite a bit bigger than my little UMX. It's got retractable landing gear. It's got a full set of weapons that come underneath the wings. And it's really, really a beautiful airplane that's been modeled by E-Flite here. So let's go ahead and get this thing in the air. Now, I am not the most proficient at EDFs, but I think the A-10 here, I don't think it's going to be too much of a challenge for me. Let's go ahead and give it a shot, shall we? There we go, cutting it a little close. All right, that was a little close on that. Of course, EDFs need quite a bit more room, a little bit longer of a runway, and like I mentioned before, this is not the biggest flying field in the simulator. And I easily could have just taxied down and started at the end of the runway rather than probably about a middle of the runway. So let's go ahead and bring the A-10 around here. The thing I love about the A-10 is the fact that it's got these real straight wings that produce a lot of lift. You know, it's meant to fly slow. It's meant to loiter around the battlefield and take out targets. And so it's a very stable EDF is what that translates to. The actual airplane it's not a supersonic fighter. It is designed to hang around a battlefield and take out targets. And that's exactly what this thing flies like. I mean, look at this, 50% throttle. It's just awesome. Of course, it's not too big in the screen, so let's go ahead and bring it in for a pass, shall we? Yeah, it scoots along pretty good. I tell you what, you hit full power on this thing, and it really screams. And you know what? The UMX is that way too. I usually fly that thing around like, I don't know, 60% power or something, and it cruises along just fine. But when you really get on the throttle, it will scoot pretty good. And this bigger A-10 will definitely do the same. Let's bring it back in again. And it's pretty responsive too. I'm pretty happy with how this thing flies. It's not crazy sensitive on the sticks. To me, it acts about how I would want it to act. To me, I'm not big into aerobatics and really sensitive airplanes, and this does not fly like that. This is a very well-mannered EDF for sure. And of course, the E-10 is just such a cool plane anyway. Look at this thing. You know, growing up in the 80s and 90s with Desert Storm, the A-10 was just always a huge favorite of mine. Featured in a number of movies over the years, huge displays at air shows. In fact, I remember being in Civil Air Patrol one year at a Air National Guard base in which there was a practice range out there. And you could hear the A-10s out there whining off in the distance, and then all of a sudden you'd hear... And you knew exactly what they were doing. Climb this thing up. Look out! Woo! Into the sun. There we go. Yeah, it's just a very cool airplane. It's another one of my favorites from E-Flite here, and they really, really did a good job. This is a great flying airplane. Like I said, I'm not huge into speed, not huge into aerobatics. I just like scale, good-looking airplanes, and the A-10 delivers. Bring it around. 50% power. Let's just bring it around real nice and slow. Just look at this thing with all the weapons hanging down underneath. Yeah. Very stable. You know, I've flown some user-made models of A-10s and some different fighter planes. They're just terrible. They don't fly right. They're twitchy. They're too fast. They just don't act right. Not the case at all. This is kind of an E-Flite designed airplane. It's factory designed in the simulator. You know, it flies as if it's, you know, right from E-Flite, and it is amazing. Another one that I'd like to have in my hangar someday would be this A-10. Let's drop the flaps once, and let's just slow the airplane down, shall we? How cool is that? It's a very stable airplane, reacts well to the inputs. I could definitely, for me at least, I could definitely see myself putting a lot more time on the A-10 and really enjoying flying the planes. Let's go ahead and bring her in. Let's drop the gear. There we go. All three down. Let's do one notch of flaps. It's getting out there a little bit, but not too bad. Of course, the A-10 has such a really cool shape to it that it's pretty easy to orientate in the air. Okay, bring it in. Full flaps. Power off, flare, boom, look at that. Yeah, this thing is totally cool. I didn't have any issues. Like I said, I am not the most proficient when it comes to EDFs. The A-10 is rock solid, it's stable, it flies like a big plane. I would say it's not twitchy at all, it's not intimidating. There we go. Very cool. So another one of my favorites that have been added to this update here at 9.5, and I think that's what's really got me the most excited about the update here on RealFlight, is it includes so many of my the airplanes that I really want to own someday or really want to fly. They're in the simulator. I can practice with them today.